Just a quick. Okay, just a quick sound check. We are live. We are live right now. Hello and welcome to Mental Monday. This is the big friendly conversation about mental health. I'm Jake Symons. For the next half an hour, we're going to be having just that. A big friendly conversation about mental health. Welcome to Mental Monday, Mental Health Live. You'll have to bear with me for 2 seconds. I am just opening up my stream dashboards. We are running slightly late today. So let me just do that now. As always, we are live on both YouTube and Twitch. You can reach me on both platforms via chat, which, you know, I'd love to hear from you. Additionally, we are available on Twitter at Jake Writes and Instagram Jake_Symons, which check throughout the show. Moving on from that, today is a Mental Health Awareness Week special. So we are going to be talking about the research from the Mental Health Foundation and some of the statistics on the policy, some of the it's not going to be based directly off the blog post as we've done in previous episodes, because obviously this is quite a kind of facts and stats blog post, looking at kind of the work with the Mental Health Foundation. So that is something I did want to talk about. First of all, though, it's just worth mentioning that we try and avoid talking about triggering topics, so I'm sure you're all aware of what they are, just because, you know, this isn't therapy. This is not a safe space as such, so if you do need to talk to someone, Samaritans there, 116 or Childline 0800 11 11 if you're under 18. Now, let's get right into it, because we are running behind. So it's time to start off with our usual question, and that is, how are you? You know, it's important to check in, it's important to ask that question, it's important to check in with ourselves. Even if we're not, say, asking someone, how are you? It's still important to actually check in with ourselves and to, you know, just kind of take a few minutes just to think and kind of process how the day's been. As you know, it's 7 PM here in the UK, you might just be beginning your day if you're over in Pacific. But the idea is that it's just a time to reflect on how the day's been. So, how has your day been? There we go. Thought I'd ask that. Let me know in the chat. Twitch or YouTube is fine. And I would love to hear from you. My day has been brilliant. I've done the favourite bit that I love about every single Mental Health Awareness Week, and that is the Friday blog post, and I've drafted it. And the Friday blog post is a roundup of all the best content that has been produced in, say, the media, in the news, in blogs for Mental Health Awareness Week. And I've done this is my third Mental Health Awareness Week. And I really, really enjoy it because it gives me a chance to, you know, read what other people are writing, their thoughts, their opinions, their different views. And it's just really nice as a mental health advocate to know that, you know, you're not fighting alone and there are people alongside you. And I think it's just, you know, there is such a fantastic mental health community of supportive people that are, you know, advocating for mental health. And it is just really, really, really wonderful to be a part of. So I have been reading all the blogs and writing a short summary, which will go in the roundup. It's not too late if you want to submit something yourself, or if you want to share someone else's work to include in the roundup. Just let me know in comments or Twitter at Jake Writes, Instagram Jake_Symons, and just let me know. After the post is published, I will leave the form live for a couple of weeks just to allow any late entries. I can understand if you're a mental health content creator yourself, you might not have a chance to, you know, watch Mental Monday right now, or be able to kind of get involved in that way. So it's definitely something that I'll leave open. So don't feel like, you know, you have to rush it out if you've, say, had other commitments and haven't posted yet. The idea is it's just got to be posted for Mental Health Awareness Week 2021, and that's really my only request on it at this point. But again, you're welcome to submit that after the fact as well. So that is what I've been doing, and I've had a really fantastic day doing that because it has been lovely to read and kind of see from everyone, doing a bit of work stuff as well, because obviously we are still working alongside all the mental health stuff that I do, which, you know, unfortunately is not my full-time job, probably never could be. So we do have to kind of do a full shift there as well. So but it's been really fun. So let me know how your day's been. Let me know in the chat. Just checking through now, and I'd love to hear from you. In terms of today's post on the website, which is what I'm going to kind of naturally move into before we start talking about other things, today's post looks at the research and the Mental Health Foundation. So the Mental Health Foundation every year for Mental Health Awareness Week produce a campaign around the theme and a research paper around the theme as part of the campaign. Rather, that's what I meant to say. And that research paper is all about connecting with nature and the benefits of nature. Now, I said that on a previous Mental Monday that those benefits are rather abstract in that, you know, we talk a lot about benefits, but we don't really define them. And when talking about my own experience with nature, it was difficult for me to kind of put into words how nature benefited me, other than I know it does, but how exactly does it do that? And that's something that I really struggled with. And it's actually good to have some of the facts, because, you know, this does get dismissed as being, you know, a bit pop planty, which seems to be a phrase I've started using, in terms of, you know, it's just go outside and look at some trees and grow a plant and, you know, open a window and or stare at the flowers, smell the roses. It does get very, very wishy-washy in that regard. So it's actually good to have a chance to actually ground that in like proper research and, you know, proper statistics that are done by actual people, rather than just, oh yes, nature benefits my mental health because, well, I said so. So it is good to have this report. So what I'd like to do with it, because the report itself is 55 pages rather, then there's another report that was produced this year, which is the policy recommendations, which is an additional 20 pages. I've been through all of it. I've pulled out what matters to me, about 1,500 words of blog, and that's kind of what I convey to you, because, you know, if you don't have time to read or care about 55 pages of PDF, I just thought I'd highlight some of the things that kind of back up what I've been saying and my perspective. Although, obviously, I've linked to the full report and shared everything that's there. So I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is that, you know, 49% of people were like mental health. Nature helps them cope with stress. If I can talk today, that would be brilliant. So that is obviously something that I felt. I've obviously talked about how nature's a calming environment and how it's, you know, a place to escape to and, you know, kind of submerge myself in that regard. And it's been very, very beneficial, especially during lockdown, to have an escape and to have, you know, a place to go and a place to see and a place that's changing and a place that's alive. And, you know, we do get very abstract, but you do feel it. And there's so many stories of people #connecting with nature, about who feel the same, who feel that nature, you know, add something to their lives. And I'm definitely in that category, although from the statistics I shouldn't be, because I should be in the teenage dip, which is between 18 and 24, being less connected with nature, and they kind of put this as the teenage dip, in that, you know, kids are just on their phone all the time and therefore not caring about nature. Which, you know, is probably accurate, to be honest. But it also gave some other reasons why that might be the case, and that was a lack of people to go outside with. So, you know, friends that would say rather play Fortnite than, you know, go out and say kick a ball about. Although, you know, I personally kind of have a mix of both, so not something I've experienced directly. And also kind of working and studying, which, you know, if you're doing, say, uni coursework or if you're doing A-levels and you're watching this right now and you have no free time because you're also managing a part-time job so you can actually save up to have nice things after your A-levels are done that you're working so hard for, you will understand that free time is a very, very, very limited resource, and it is not something that is a luxury at all. And therefore, a walk might be, the only kind of walk you get is to the bus, or, through the high street, or round the shop, for example. Which is, it's not ideal. I mean, there are busy lives, and, it is something just to kind of be aware of. Sorry, I'm just having some bitrate issues drop, so I'm just checking that now. But for me, I think I've always loved nature. I mean, I don't know. I've not experienced the teenage dip as such. But as always, obviously being 19, this is the age bracket I'm particularly concerned by. And stuff like Young Minds as well is something that I really follow closely because it's important. As a young kind of advocate myself, that I'm talking and focusing, and a lot of what this is designed for is people like me, and that's kind of what it's all for. So it's good to be a part of that. In terms of other issues, the report was quite a lot about how not everyone can access nature. And this is where I kind of disagree slightly. And I don't disagree with the science. I disagree with the kind of the thought process that an open window and a pot plant for those that say can't leave the home is a substitute for actually, say, being outside. And, it's not, is it? And, that's pretty clear from kind of my perspective that, telling someone to open a window or, like, grow a vegetable in a pot on their windowsill, for example, is probably not as helpful as some of the other suggestions. But, if that is your only option, then it is better than nothing. But why is that your only option? Is that because, say, you don't have access to nature because there's a bunch of cracked steps that you, say, can't get a wheelchair down, or there's, like, a big embankment of grass that, you either go down the cracked steps or you go down the bank, there's no ramp, or there's, it's very unlevel ground. It's, lots of cracked asphalt, and it's not very, wheelchair friendly, which is a big one. And, obviously, if you're just walking over it like I would, you probably don't notice that. You probably think, oh, well, I can walk here, so there's a path, and, everything's fine. But, some people, especially if you're in a wheelchair, walking paths do not necessarily equal wheelchair-friendly paths. So just something else. Also, you might not feel particularly safe outside, especially if you live in quite a dodgy area, and you don't have many kind of open spaces, or you just don't have a garden, and you just can't, on a daily basis, get out of the house for whatever reason, say physical conditions, or say, mental health being a problem. There are lots of reasons why people can't just, take a walk and, get some fresh air and walk it off. And, we're so quick to kind of assume on these weeks that what, say, you and I can do is the same as what everyone can do, and it's not the case. And, I'm glad this is highlighted because there are ways of improving that, and there are, the Mental Health Foundation suggests about how to actually make sure areas are open and safe, and new developments have, green space, and there's countryside, and there's parks, and, they have nature in schools and all this kind of stuff. And, that is stuff that can be done. That is with funding and with kind of working with the people involved. That is practical things that can be implemented to improve people's access to nature, to experience the mental health benefits that the Mental Health Foundation talk about in their 55-page booklet. And we can actually help more people experience those, have we actually put the resources into it. So again, that is a kind of a government thing and a local authority thing, because, you know, you and I can't really just go out and build a park, right? You know, but there has to be some kind of you know, pressure or some kind of influence this week has to have, because otherwise it's meaningless. And I will be speaking tomorrow on the blog about how to actually take individual actions. And a lot of that is limited. You know, a lot of these decisions, especially around nature and about mental health funding, they're not something we can address as individuals. These are policy decisions that need to be made, and, you know, we can write to MPs and we can vote and we can sign petitions and all that stuff. But on a day-to-day basis, what can you do tonight to make a difference? It's not a lot. And, you know, that is how it is. So that is probably why we don't talk about it a lot, because I want to make Mental Monday a chance for us to talk to each other and to kind of share in I'm just checking the messages coming through if you're wondering what I'm doing right now, but it gives us a chance to actually share in practical things that we can do, because I'm talking directly to you. This isn't like a conference, this isn't, you know, something like that. This is a conversation, a direct two-way conversation. So, you know, it's not something I cover a lot, and it will not be something that I cover a lot, because it's a conversation. You know, it's you can't do anything about that. I get that. I can't do anything about it. You know, so it is kind of what it is from that sense, and the kind of the lack of ability we have to change that. And, you know, we can make noise on Twitter and we can retweet things, and I'd absolutely encourage you to do that, and I'll share more on that tomorrow. But in terms of right now, it's just about, you know, being there for everyone and pledging to kind of fight when something comes. So if you get an opportunity to vote or sign a petition or, you know, retweet something, do so. But on a day-to-day basis, just, you know, being open to that. And that would kind of be my advice if you're sitting here very kind of annoyed that there needs to be more done and you can't do anything about mental health like I am. You know, that's your answer. It doesn't have to be, you know, start a mental health blog, start a YouTube channel, get a Twitter account. It can just be, you know, supporting those already out there, and supporting the charities and supporting the kind of people that are putting on that pressure and are in a much better place to actually create change, because there has to be change at government level. There has to be. And that comes down to, you know, funding and implementing policy that is effective and that actually means something. You know, there's a lot of for the blog post I was writing, I was looking at mental health blogs to see if I could find some more to include in my roundup post, and a lot of the mental health blogs were on all the different kind of government media sites, and all the different departments have their own blog, and it was kind of a lot of them were on blogs, and there were company kind of tweets and company blogs about it. But what action are you taking other than just saying Mental Health Awareness Week has the theme of nature, here's some resources? Like, people can find the resources. You know, if people are reading your blog right now, they're either looking for the resources or they're already in the know of Mental Health Awareness Week. So just linking to a page isn't really helpful. You know, what are you doing about it? And that's the question, is, you know, rather than just linking to resources that people could probably find anyway, what are you actually doing to help mental health, say, in your organisation? And that is the question. And, you know, it's what you do off Twitter, what you don't link to but do yourself. You know, why link to resources when what you should do in the first instance is make sure your bit's done before sharing like what other people are doing. And obviously there is a need for signposting, and I have linked to some big resource posts, one on Department of Education's website, and a couple of others, that kind of signpost where to go in Friday's roundup. But, you know, there has to be an element of you doing something. There has to be that kind of, if you're in that position where you can do something, you know, that has to be done. So that's just kind of my message, and it's something I've seen on Twitter a lot, so I did want to kind of bring that up as well. We are kind of getting into the last 9 or 8 minutes. I don't know why I suppose it's the wrong way around. Maybe because I'm counting down, which I shouldn't be. But for the last kind of few minutes then, if there's anything you want to talk about in the chat, do let me know. Twitch or YouTube is there, though YouTube seems to have closed itself, which is brilliant. Having a bunch of technical issues today. Not sure what's going on. If you see me glancing this way, it's because I'm monitoring stream chat. That's why I'm always off centre. Though I am hopefully getting better at looking at the camera. That's always been an issue, is like looking at the camera. Hopefully that is something I am doing more of. It's definitely something I'm working on. In terms of them, what's coming up and some positivity, because the last, 3 streams at the end of this one will have basically been, we need more funding, we can't do anything about it, mental health and nature is a very important theme, there is research to back it up, but not everyone can do it, and there's a lot of negativity, and I don't know if you're picking that up, but there is a lot of negativity because I focus too much, and I have done on previous years, on the theme, and going fully out as to Mental Health Awareness Week is the best thing ever. And, it is, but it also is not the be-all and end-all. There's a lot more to mental health on, say, the 51-day weeks of the year. And that's important too. And that is probably more important than this week in terms of, what happens the rest of the time. So I did want to actually kind of correct maybe some of the previous years where I've been too eager to support Mental Health Awareness Week, not, a bit naively. Obviously, it's kind of my first Mental Health Awareness Weeks, but now I'm kind of picking up what's being said in the mental health community. It's actually, Mental Health Awareness Week is a good time to come together, and it's a good time, I love coming together in the mental health community, seeing what everyone's creating, seeing what everyone's tweeting, seeing what everyone's sharing. And one of the biggest feedback is we just want funding, we just want help, we just need support, and, it's like PR, which, for a week it is PR, because obviously you've got to get that hashtag mental health awareness tweet out. Every business has probably had that discussion with the guy that does the Twitter to get that tweet out. We certainly put a tweet out, but it's got to be much more than that. So that's kind of why I wanted to focus the way I did, say more on the kind of the grim side, the grim underfunded side of mental health. But there is positive sides to this week, and let's actually focus on them. Let's close this week off positively, because I really think that Mental Health Awareness Week is a lovely time to focus on a theme. You reach people that may not be in the mental health community, that you can come and say hello to. In terms of actually helping mental health content creators, it provides a week of extra focus on mental health where, my blog and others' blogs may be visited by those not in the mental health community or those that are not regular readers, which is obviously good if you're kind of monetizing your website, which I'm not at the moment, in terms of running ads and just kind of building an audience and just being a bit more open and kind of opening mental health up to those that may not necessarily know too many people that are kind of living with low mental health at the moment, or know too many people that are kind of, caring for those. They may just be kind of in their own little friendship circles and don't really have mental health at the forefront at all. and it's not really something that's impacted them, and it just gives you a chance to reach those people. And I think that's really good, because a lot of what I try and do, and a lot of kind of what Mental Monday also tries to focus on in, say, normal weeks, is actually, talking to those that are just here because, they may have someone may have just opened up to them, or they may be worried about a friend, and they've got no idea what to do. And, especially if you're kind of talking to people my age that are not kind of having gone through mental health, it is kind of a what do I do situation. And, actually saying that it's not something like scary that you have to plan for, but mental health is something we all live with, and it's probably something 1 in 4 of us are going to struggle with at some point. So it's important that we just need to kind of make mental health more normal in terms of the conversation around it, and hopefully this goes some ways to doing that. So that's kind of where I position Mental Monday, and why there needs to be some positivity too, because now we've expressed the concerns of the mental health community, and we've gone into detail about kind of the theme and about the benefits of nature and some of the statistics behind that. It's actually time to talk about, awareness, and how awareness can turn into action, and how we can positively come away from this week. Because what we all want to do, what I want to do as a mental health advocate, is create a platform, create a space where mental health is, at the forefront. And Mental Health Awareness Week is a great time to do that. And say, right, now you're all listening about mental health, this is what needs to happen going forward. This is what happens when this week ends. This is what we need. This is how you can help. This is how you can remain supportive. And that is something that, I'll be using my platform in Mental Monday to help with. But also, it's a chance to regularly check in, because our mental health doesn't just go away after the end of this week. There'll still be people that are feeling low right now, or may feel low in the future, who may open up to you this week, or may open up to you at some other point. And, going forward, when Mental Monday goes back to its original kind of bi-weekly format, it's really going to be about providing support, and just kind of providing kind of this 30-minute kind of window in your evening where you can just come and say hello and be part of just, having a nice chat. And that's what it's all about. So it's always important to keep talking about mental health, and it's something that we have to just keep in mind. It's not something that, like, we don't want it to get to a point where we either have to talk about mental health because we reach crisis point, or, someone else, calls, say, the emergency services on our behalf, or we do something harmful to ourselves. We need to talk way before things get to that point. So, again, it comes down to not bottling things up and saying it, which is, a message we've probably all been told. But in terms of its actual impacts, we need to just keep the conversation going. And that's really my message. There's a bunch of negativity about, funding and all that kind of stuff, and those messages need to go too. But if there's one thing you do in your own friendship circles, and the one thing that you actually do amongst yourselves, is just keep the conversation going, keep the conversation live, keep checking in, and just make sure that mental health always has a space. If you need to talk about it, make sure that space is always there to do that. And that's really the message for Mental Health Awareness Week from me, is yes, we need focus on funding, we need focus on the concerns of those who have lived with mental illness and recovering from mental illness, and we need absolutely to have more action on that, and we need to be shouting as loud as we can to make sure that happens. But in terms of actually what you can do on a daily basis, and what you can do after this week, is keep being there for people. Keep, doing the check-ins, and the extra focus that you've been giving mental health should be normal. Eventually, I want to live in a society where mental health conversations don't need an awareness week to start. That there is space all the time to talk about mental health, and you can do that as and when needed. And that's really what I want. That's why we have Mental Monday, because it hopefully normalises that conversation. And everything else is to try and normalise mental health and to say you can still, you know, one, to those that are struggling, that you can recover, and that's possible. And, you know, you may need a mixture of a good support network and proper professional help that is there for you. And also to those that are not, that, you know, you can be there for people and you don't need to be an expert, and you can just help people and you can still make a difference. And it's those kind of two sides that I really want to cover going forward. So that is why tomorrow we will be doing that with a kind of a how to take action video before kind of going through some of the blogs on Friday. Thank you so much for joining me for Mental Monday. This has been a big friendly conversation about mental health with me, Jake Symons. It has been great to be here. I'm glad we've kind of moved from the kind of negativities and some of the criticisms of mental health hormone this week to some of the more positive side. And I personally love it because I think it is, you know, a great chance for all the reasons I've said. But, you know, you might disagree with that. So do let me know your view on this. I'd really be interested in hearing from you on specifically, you know, is Mental Health Awareness Week a good thing or not? In my view, it is, absolutely. But what is your view? If there are no further messages, which there does not appear to be, thank you so much for coming. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. for our penultimate Monday Mental Health Live before our final episode on Friday. And that will kind of be a go forth into the next 51 weeks to be good and help those who are fighting for mental health. And I'll hopefully come up with some better wording because that was awful. But thank you so much for coming. I've really enjoyed today. It's been really good talking to everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow.